Hello and welcome back to the Rifleman Project. My name is Tom and today we're out here on the range taking a look at the most important piece of equipment that you can put on your rifle, and that's going to be the sling. So stay tuned to find out exactly what kind you need and how to use it today on the Rifleman Project. This is the M1 Garand, and probably one of my most favorite rifles. Now take a look at the sling on this rifle. This is period correct, and it was designed and developed in 1942 to replace the previous 1907 leather sling. This is the USGI Web sling. Let's take a deeper look at it. Okay, so here are the major parts of the USGI Web sling. You've got your loop that attaches to the rifle. You can either attach this directly to the rifle, or if you have a more modern rifle that doesn't have the loop built in, you could attach it with these quick disconnects. You can see this one here is for attaching to a sling stud, or if you have a more modern rifle, you can even use the push button connectors. Just make sure that you're buying the 1.25 inch, not the 1 inch adapters. After that, we do have our keeper here. This can be used to adjust the length of the sling, and it's as simple as holding the sling, pulling up on the tag end. You open this little tab, and you can give yourself as much or as little as you need. Now after that, one of the most important parts on this whole sling is right here, and this is going to be the square buckle. The most stable use of a sling is in the loop position, and this is where you get your loop from. If you take the buckle, face it towards yourself, take some of the slack out of the rest of this sling, and push it back through. And what this creates is a loop, and you want to make it big enough so you can fit your arm through it. Actually, in this case, we always want to make sure the junk, the extra buckle here, is on the outside of our arm. So after we make that loop, we would slide our arm right through and then attach to the rifle. But it's pretty simple, it's pretty timeless. I've actually mounted these on pretty much every rifle I own, including my match rifles. This is by far the best bang for your buck. So let's take a look at just how we can use the sling to stabilize the rifle. The first thing we want to do is get just a little bit of a belly in the sling, and you can measure that with your finger and your thumb. You want about that much space between the rifle and the belly of the sling. Now what that allows you to do is when you have the rifle at rest, it allows you to quickly get into the first position, and they call that hasty. Now, the hasty is a great way to use the sling. It does add just a little bit more stabilization than you would just regular holding up the rifle, especially a rifle like this. This rifle weighs about 9.5 pounds. She's no lightweight, so we're going to need all the stabilization we can get. So to take a look at that hasty sling is pretty easy. All you're going to do is as you pull the rifle up, you're going to swing your elbow on the inside of the sling. You can take a look at that here. Now, this adds a lot more stabilization than what you would get with just regular holding the rifle. It's not the most ideal, but it's great and it's quick. So we saw the hasty sling in action. Now let's take one of those hasties away. The next way I'm going to show you how to use the sling is going to be what we call just the single hasty method. Now this is a little bit more involved, and it takes just that little bit longer to get into, but it's going to add even more stabilization to your shooting. Now the way we're going to do this is we're going to take this rifle, hold it straight up in the air. We're going to take our arm, pass it through until that rifle's almost in your armpit. What we're going to do is we're going to take our hand, wrap it around the sling, and grab the stock. So it's going to look something like this. So as we pull the rifle down, it naturally puts that sling behind our hand, around our wrist, around our bicep, creating triangles. Now this is a very stable shooting position. So that dramatically increases your stability. Let's take a look at that from the other side. So you're going to take the rifle, hold it up to your armpit, take this hand, wrap it around the sling, grabbing the stock of the rifle, pulling the whole thing down and into your shoulder pocket, and there you go. It's as easy as that. So those are two quick and easy ways to use that sling to stabilize the rifle. Now they both have some drawbacks. In the regular hasty, you'll notice as I pull the rifle up, it wants to cant over. So I'm going to be constantly fighting that rifle back up straight. Now we do the hasty sling, and the rifle, you can almost let your arm off and it remains pretty steady. So there's pluses and minuses to both positions. Use whichever one works for you. So the last technique we're going to look at is going to be the loop sling. This is by far the most stable use of the sling that you can get. It takes a little bit longer to get into, but the trade-off and the extra stability is completely worth it, especially if you're shooting in a match like a CMP match, NRA high power, or something like that. But I also use this in all of the Appleseed shoots that I go to. So let's take a look at what we need. So once again, we've got our USGI sling, and we've disconnected it from the bottom sling mount. Now we did that for a reason, and that is we need our loop. So I'll let the rifle lay in the crook of my knee here. Take a look at this buckle. This square little buckle is where we're going to get our loop. And all we're going to do to get that is just push some of this extra material back through that buckle, and you see we're starting to create a loop. This is where the loop name comes into play. So once you have a pretty decent sized loop, you're going to take your rifle, stand it up, turn this sling so that all this junk on the outside, and yes, that's a technical term, the junk is going to be on the outside of your arm. So once you have that, secure the rifle in your elbow and slip your arm through. Now this is a little bit of a balancing act, but once you get your arm through, you want to make sure it's above your bicep and start to pull that slack back out. So you can see me kind of working it back and forth. You want that junk on the outside of your arm, and you can see it back here. All right. So once you have that, you're pretty much in, mounted to the rifle. All you would need to do is take that hand, just like we did in the hasty sling, wrap it around the sling, up underneath, and grab that stock of the rifle. Once you have that in position, you're good to go. You'll want to mount the rifle, get down into that position that you need, make sure your elbow's underneath the rifle, and shoot. So let's take a look at that loop sling from another angle. You can see the loop sling here. It's attached to the rifle. It slides down behind my wrist, nice and flat, all the way to my bicep. And that sling is guitar string tight. That's what that looks like from the reverse view. Okay, we've looked at how to get into the loop sling from the seated position. Let's take a look at a position where the loop sling really shines. And that's going to be prone. Once you get down into prone, this is going to lock this rifle into your shoulder like a vise. I'll do a little demonstration here. Let's do some shooting. So you'll see me. I'm going to kick my legs out, making sure that the rifle stays over the firing line. Let's get this baby loaded up. All right, going hot. Now from this position, you're going to notice a couple of things. My arm is directly below the rifle for that ultimate in stability. You'll notice that my support side leg is hiked up, and that's to get my chest up off the ground so I can breathe and talk. You'll notice that the support side hand just kind of hanging out here loose. All right, we're going to make a nice C shape to get on that trigger, and that's going to be everything that we need. We can fire from there. Gotta love that ping. So let's take a look at that prone position with the sling one more time from a different angle. Get my Grand loaded up here and we'll take a look. Making sure we're keeping that elbow underneath the rifle. Making sure we get that support side leg up. All right, we got a good sight picture here. So let's see what this looks like. So that was 3 easy ways that you can use the sling, not just to carry the rifle, but to dramatically improve the stabilization while you're on target. Like I said, USGI Web sling, make sure it's cotton and not nylon. They run about $15 to $20 and can be easily found anywhere. Amazon, eBay, the Appleseed store, they're all great places to pick these up. If you learned something in this video, do me a favor, like and share this video, and I'll see you again next week with a little bit more on that prone position.